Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Friday Ramblings. I am your host, David, and we're going to take a trip back to the squared circle for a little bit of wrestling talk. But it's going to be a little different because we're going to discuss something that is dead but not forgotten. Gone but still with us. And that is Lucha Underground. Specifically, we're going to take a little bit of a different peek at Lucha Underground's legacy and discuss the wrestlers who use Lucha Underground to springboard their career in America to bigger and better heights. Now, the quick rundown for people not familiar with Lucha Underground is that it was a series that aired on the El Rey network for 4 seasons. And I do say seasons for a reason, because unlike traditional wrestling promotions, which conduct, besides weekly TV, pay-per-views, and non-televised shows year-round, Lucha Underground was constructed like a TV show, specifically taking inspiration from Mexican soap operas, besides the obvious lucha wrestling style inspiration in the ring. Thus, they would air a set of episodes, followed by a season finale, which served as usually a multi-episode supercard, before taking a break for a few months and then introducing the new season, as I said, like any good pure fictional TV show. Now, while a few other wrestling promotions had tried to do that in the past, specifically the female-oriented ones, such as Glow and POW, run by the infamous David McLean. Post-dinner recording, folks. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of understanding here. The key thing is that Lucha Underground was the first time in America they mixed this format with as lucha-inspired wrestling, which is, of course, the standard in Mexico. Thus, it featured a lot of talent that was either Mexican citizens themselves or wrestlers from North America who had struck it big in Mexico, not so much here in the United States. This is important. Of course, non-wrestling roles were filled by traditional actors, most importantly the promotion's owner, Dario Cueto, who was played by Let me go ahead and make sure I am quoting myself right here. Luis Fernandez Gil. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on my pronunciations on there. For reference, he also has had featured roles in Mike and Molly, The Mentalist, Ray Donovan, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, as well as films such as The Boys and Girls Guide to Getting Down, Jack and Jill, Rules Don't Apply, and just this year, Horse Girl, as well as providing additional voices in Uncharted 4: A Thief's End for you video game fans. However, we are here to discuss the wrestlers themselves, so let's get going. Quick rundown of wrestlers who, while they may have been working the independents here in America, got their first national TV exposure on Lucha Underground and have seen their career continue here in America since. First up, we have South African professional wrestler Adam Brittle, who competed in both Lucha Underground as well as places like What Culture Pro Wrestling and most recently All Elite Wrestling as Angelico. Now, Angelico would feature in multiple seasons of Lucha Underground, including being a 2-time Trios Champions with Eva Lise, who had previously experienced a bit of fame in WWE. Serving in their developmental territories. Although she is well currently works in All Elite Wrestling after spending some time in TNA. Their other partner would be Son of Havoc, aka Matt Cross, who before Lucha Underground had worked all over the independents, including Combat Zone Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and some work in Chikara. So, Matt Cross was a bit of a bigger name in that group. However, Ivelisse would see a career renaissance due to her work in Lucha Underground, and Angelico would, as I said, flat out make his biggest mark so far. Now, the idea of people working in TNA/Impact after Lucha Underground shut up shop is a pattern. Shut up shop. Say that 5 times fast. Is a pattern we're going to see in a few more entries here, folks. Next up, we have Jeff Cobb, who competed in Lucha Underground as the series-long major antagonist, the Monster Matanza Cueto, psychotic masked brother of founder Dario Cueto, who was literally kept under lock and key by his brother. Since Lucha Underground, Jeffrey Cobb has competed in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and All Elite Wrestling. Was a one-time Lucha Underground champion, and since then has been never openweight champion in New Japan. ROH World Television Champion in Ring of Honor. Jeff Cobb is of Filipino descent and is a great wrestler. He would also serve a stint in Progress Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Although PWG was kind of around the same time as Lucha Underground was filming, so it's an even Steven thing on that one. But Jeff Cobb is a great wrestler who is definitely going to continue to step up his game. And I hope the best for him. Although personally, while his characters in these other promotions have been fun, I think he did his best work as the masked growling Monster Matanza. Because let's face it, nothing's better than a monster heel who tends to forget he's human. Next up, we have another female talent who, although having served a brief stint in WWE Developmental, and wrestling around the independents in Canada, would find fame in AAA, although I know, folks, for official credit, it's now known as Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide, but, you know, most of my lifetime I've known it as AAA. It's still commonly referred to as that. So yes, the official name of the promotion is currently Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide, but we call it AAA for short. This would be Taya Valkyrie. Valkyrie would debut in Lucha Underground as the partner and love interest of Johnny Mundo, which was a case of art imitating life. Taya would go on to compete in Impact Wrestling for 3 years, 2.5 years, before returning to AAA. In Impact Wrestling, she has been a knockout champion, and in AAA, she is a 3-time Reina de Reinas, which is their equivalent of the Women's Championship, champion. Again, Ty is an excellent wrestler. I would love to see her get another big run here in America. Maybe when AAA contracts are done, she could join Johnny in a stint in WWE, as he has recently returned to that promotion. I'm not going to list Johnny in this because he, of the real name John Hennigan, had already become a big name in WWE before coming to Lucha Underground. There were several wrestlers that had stints in Lucha Underground who had already established legends in their own right, such as a brief stint by Rey Mysterio in between his WWE contracts. Conan, throughout it, Vampiro was on commentary. Alberto Del Rio showed up there for a brief stint between runs in Impact and WWE. Mexican legends like Dr. Wagner. So it was a good mix of major talent and emerging future stars. But again, we're not here to talk about the major names. We're here to talk about the people who broke out in America thanks to Lucha Underground. Because that is the most important thing when discussing a promotion's legacy, which is the positive benefits it has created for the talent involved. The upward momentum. It's one thing to have already been up here and stayed up here. It's another to be down here when it starts and end up here when it ends. Jumping back over to the man, we have Kevin Kaiser, who, after a brief stint in Global Force Wrestling, showed up late in the run of Lucha Underground, leading Paul London, again another established talent, and his Rabbit Tribe as the White Rabbit, a sadistic villain character that has shown up in Impact Wrestling and more recently Major League Wrestling for a brief stint and WWE's NXT brand as Killer Cross and in NXT Karrion Kross. This is a man that is pure talent and potential. Although he is currently out with a shoulder injury, I have a feeling he is going to quickly regain his momentum in WWE because he is everything WWE loves in a heel. He is big, he is distinctive looking, and he is brutal in the ring. Although he didn't show up towards the tail end of Lucha Underground. Yeah, White Rabbit, tail end. Pun for you, take it. You cannot give it back. He quickly made an impact, mostly due to the build-up and hype of the White Rabbit character, thanks to his affiliation with the Rabbit Tribe, and the fact that every time the bell rings, Cross demands your attention with his pure in-ring physical talent. Next up, PWG veteran William McClinton Jr., better known by his ring name Willie Mack, would, in Lucha Underground, be a Trios champion alongside Dante Fox and Killshot one time, and Killshot and Son of Havoc one time, after the character of Dante Fox left the show. He has most recently shown up in the NWA, serving a one-time reign as the NWA National Championship, and in Impact Wrestling, where he is a one-time X Division champion. Willie Mack is a bit of a veteran, having been wrestling for several years now, who definitely is a major boon to the NWA and Impact, as he tends to be the kind of guy that can command the room in a unique and fun way, as he has most often portrayed a babyface character that can kick butt, but also party with the best of them. I'd love to see Willie Mack really help Impact, and more importantly NWA, once they get started up again with their shows, rise back up in wrestling attention and help those promotions rebuild as major powerhouses to challenge WWE, AEW, and Ring of Honor in popularity. Not because I have anything against any of those companies, but because lots of healthy competition benefits the wrestling industry. Speaking of Killshot, he would show up in Major League Wrestling for another 2 to 3 year stint before taking off the Killshot mask and joining NXT as Isaiah Swerve Scott, where he is currently building up his reputation and making a name for himself. In Major League Wrestling, he was a one-time World Heavyweight Champion, and while he has not won any gold currently in NXT, he has served as a mainstay of the Cruiserweight division, helping cement the antagonistic role of El Hijo del Fantasma, who would also compete in Lucha Underground under the ring name King Cuerno, which is Spanish for King Antler or King Horn, referencing his gimmick of a masked big game hunter. So, there's a pair of guys right there who first established some good chemistry in Lucha Underground and have brought that to WWE. Now, of course, you can't hunt big game unless there's some big game wandering around. This brings us to a masked wrestler who, although again, did have some success in WWE developmental under the name Judas Devlin, made his biggest splash briefly in House of Hardcore, but bigger in Lucha Underground by donning the mask and becoming Vibara, the major big powerhouse competitor of the Snake Tribe group, and since then has joined AEW as the partner of Jungle Boy Jack Perry. That's right, Luchasaurus, the dino-minded daredevil who's ready to decimate opponents inside AEW's tag team division. Got his dinosaur-loving character under a different name, but still the same basic gimmick. Major recognition thanks to Lucha Underground. In Lucha Underground, he was a one-time trios champion with similar masked character Drago and Pindar as Snake Tribe. Alright, folks, we got 2 more left, and these are going to be good. Although he had competed in Chikara Evolve and Dragon Gate USA, as well as stints in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and New Japan Pro Wrestling, when it comes to American televised wrestling and grabbing the attention of even the most casual wrestling fan, we have a gentleman who came to Lucha Underground and became its Season 1 main hero by donning a mask, picking up mentorship from Lucha legend Conan, and calling himself Prince Puma. Puma would dominate Lucha Underground for the first couple seasons before leaving to join NXT. Excuse me, he actually managed to go through 3 of the 4 seasons. Pardon me. So, he was there for most of the run. It's been a little while since I've marathoned my Lucha Underground. All apologies. Yes, he was a major player in 3 of the 4 seasons of Lucha Underground, leaving to join NXT. In Lucha Underground, he was a 2-time Lucha Underground champion, holder of the Trios Championship with Dragon Azteca Jr., and Rey Mysterio. Dragon Azteca Jr. himself has also wrestled in Ring of Honor and MLW, and is also known as the second El Hijo de Rey Mysterio, which, while that does translate to the son of Rey Mysterio, does not refer to the Rey Mysterio I just mentioned, who is officially Rey Mysterio Jr. It refers to Rey Mysterio Sr., who is the uncle and trainer of Rey Mysterio Jr., the one we all know and love from WWE. I know that was confusing for a second, but it's a WWE thing. It's kind of their fault because Rey Mysterio Sr. never had a big run there. When they brought Rey Mysterio Jr. in, they dropped the Jr. They did the same thing with Chavo Guerrero Jr. When Chavo Guerrero Sr. would eventually show up in a managerial role, he was referred to as Chavo Classic, so they didn't have to retroactively start calling Chavo Chavo Jr. Chavo Guerrero Jr., by the way, would also serve an occasional on-screen role in Lucha Underground, but more importantly, was one of the executive producers and behind-the-scene trainers in Lucha Underground. So, big props to Chavo Guerrero Jr. for helping make Lucha Underground possible here in America. And cementing part of why it made such a big impact in only 4 seasons, because the Guerrero family along with the Mysterio family, are Lucha legends of the highest order. But when it's all said and done, what happened to that WWE run? Well, let's discuss that. Because Prince Puma mask was created for his Lucha Underground run, this gentleman would remove the mask and wrestle in NXT before moving to the main WWE roster as Ricochet, the one and only. In NXT, he would win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with Aleister Black, the NXT North American Championship, and on the WWE Raw roster has been a one-time United States Champion and is currently involved in an angle with the stable of the Hurt Business, which is composed of MVP, who also served a brief stint in Lucha Underground, although, again, he first gained notoriety in WWE as one of the established veterans they brought in. Shelton Benjamin, who was a made-play star in WWE, Ring of Honor, and has competed in Japan as well. And Bobby Lashley, who has served time in TNA Impact and WWE, along with recent friend turncoat, naughty betrayer, Cedric Alexander. This angle is ongoing, so we're just going to see if this helps catapult Ricochet to more championship glory in WWE, as he continues to, every time he goes out in the ring and being given a chance to shine, steal the spotlight. Now our final entry to tie it all up, we're going back to the Femme Fatales. Although she had already established herself in Mexico and Japan, there was a brief storyline in Lucha Underground, which did serve as the American TV debut of a woman then known as Hitokiri. A short-term backup brought in for Lucha Underground mainstay Dark Lotus. Although her character did not have a major impact on Lucha Grounds, long-running storylines as part of the Black Lotus Triad, she had a famous gauntlet match with the rest of the Triad against... Oh, see, I completely forgot to mention him. Against Pentagon Jr., most recently known as Pentagon El Zero, in All Elite Wrestling, who also competed in Lucha Underground, as we just said, in an off-and-on rivalry with his current AEW tag partner, Rey Fenix, aka Just Phoenix. Well, not Just Phoenix, aka Phoenix, without the Rey. As both were AEW standout players. Cannot believe I forgot those two. I had the notes to talk about them, just lost them in the shuffle. Now, Hitokiri, as I said, would basically compete in the one short feud between Black Lotus and Pentagon Jr., aka Pentagon Dark, aka Penta El Zero. However, shortly after this, she would compete in the Mae Young Classic and get signed to NXT proper, where she has teamed alongside fellow Japanese native Kairi Sane, and more recently has, finally after several failed attempts, ascended to become the NXT Women's Champion. That's right, we are talking about Io Shirai. Now, I can't give 100% credit to Lucha Underground for Io Shirai's blast into stardom here in WWE. Her work in the Mae Young Classic certainly did much more for that. However, you gotta know that that gauntlet match certainly didn't hurt her getting booked for the Mae Young Classic, as it did show she was capable of working TV and showed off how good her moves looked on television. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, but trust me, folks. Given how long WWE has been producing weekly content for television, that is a major factor they look for in talent that they both want to sign and feature regularly is, are they already familiar with wrestling to the camera? And how good does their work look on TV? This has been a major part of why Io, Ricochet, Cross, and a few others have been signed to WWE, and certainly the various others that have worked in Impact and MLW and Ring of Honor. Hey, I guarantee you all those other promotions have a similar attitude to WWE on that front. The less they have to teach somebody how to wrestle to the camera, keeping an eye on, okay, am I in a position where the camera is going to catch all of this move? Am I off camera for the part where I'm supposed to be doing something sneaky? If they already know how to do that, that is a major plus to their career, because companies like WWE and Impact don't have to teach that to them before they can safely put them on TV. So does that mean you should watch Lucha Underground? Well, if you're fans of any of these wrestlers, definitely go seek out some of these reruns, because it's more matches featuring these people you love to see wrestle. If you're somebody who's just more of a historian and wants to kind of see hey, what exactly could they have actually done in Lucha Underground that would have gotten the attention of major player companies, go see it. And if you don't care about either, but are just looking for some wrestling to watch it, it's a finite length, so you don't have to devote the rest of your life trying to play catch-up, unlike, say, WWE, which has been around for decades and decades. Like, seriously, the amount of content on their network is staggering, and I'm not even counting the promotions they've bought. Just the WWF, WWE stuff, let alone the WWF stuff that they occasionally, clean up the footage for, so it's, actually can be aired, because, you're talking about stuff from, like, the 60s. We've talked about this before in our Lost Movies and TV video. Footage isn't always preserved properly, and when it is, it's not ready for HD viewing right away. That gets real technical, gets us off topic, which is Lucha Underground was awesome. Although the fourth season definitely had a lot of changes due to various wrestlers leaving and change in filming location and budget. Honestly, I did enjoy all 4 seasons, and wouldn't be opposed to a return to like a Lucha Underground miniseries, especially if places like Impact and AEW and Ring of Honor were to, give you a quick loan. It's like, oh yeah, you guys want to just like marathon film, four episode miniseries or something, maybe like 8 episodes, just marathon film it over a couple weeks or so. Yeah, go for it. Borrow our talent. I'd love to see that happen. A little truncated season 5, kind of tie up some of the loose ends the season 4 cancellation created. Be fun. Be interesting to see these wrestlers who have kind of spread across the American promotions reunite and clash again in the ring. For those people who ended up in the same promotion together, like Fantasma / Cuerno and Killshot / Isaiah Scott, go for it. Keep feuding. You guys showed you could do it right in Lucha. Keep showing it on NXT. One day you may be showing it on WWE. Maybe even WrestleMania. Possibilities are endless. Keep going up. Upward momentum. So, that does it for this week. We're going to be back in 7 days. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. This takes me a second because there's like a... This is fine. Because it's a mirror image thing. It's like a brain-hand coordination thing to keep that straight. But either way, 4, 3, make 7. Join us in 7. Subscribe to Roulette Productions so you can be alerted to the videos we post all week. We have 4 different series running now. Solo stuff for me. Solo tool-assisted speedruns from my buddy, Jaime. And our team-up podcast, Generation eXpletive. So, don't miss any of it. Comment, like, share. But remember, at Roulette Productions, we may occasionally criticize, we may occasionally pick on, but we do not do it with true hatred. It is constructive criticism designed to get you to think, get you to try out new entertainment, and get you to remember, you can disagree, you can debate, you don't have to hate. We'll ramble next Friday, but for now, enjoy your weekend.